Okay, I switched my phone off. Just tried to start it and then somebody rang, so it's typical. Welcome everybody to Bajerski YouTube channel. I sound like a robot, don't I? Welcome to the Pure Energy Healing Academy. Today we're going to talk about Moldavite, and I was going to save this for one of my stories in the book, but it'd be nice to talk to you about it, and it kind of hits two subject matters, which is, I think, relevant. So if you don't know who I am, my name's Bajerski, and at 38 years old I became a full-time healer. And for 2 decades thereafter, I sit here now sharing the trials and tribulations, the amazing synchronicities, the healing powers of this universe, and all the magic that happened. And I'd like to talk to you about the day that I was full on, probably 7 years in, doing healing. I was never somebody who really listened to other people's information. I like to gather my own information. So I wasn't really somebody who, listened to somebody and then took it on board. I am actually quite a skeptical person, even though you say, well, you're meant to be a spiritual reader, psychic healer, right? Aren't you all like that, gullible? And like, no, not really. I didn't believe any. In fact, I had kind of like a distrust in a lot of psychic mediums, and rightly so, when you get to know some of them. Like, yeah. So anyway, going back to the story, it was a beautiful story, and I want to share it with you. So about 7 years in, I was really enjoying my life, enjoying the healing. I never felt healthier or happier. I'd probably now been involved with working with around, 200, 300 crystals. So I'm understanding what crystals are and working with them daily. Of course, I had some of my favorites, but I was always trying different crystals because I wanted to feel the healing properties within crystals, because I knew it worked, and it worked for my clients. It was working for me. It was working for children that had no belief, and the mother's saying to me, look, they've changed. Look at what's happened to them. It's like you realize that your clients are going through this process of, pure energy healing, which I was doing at the time, was working amazing, but it was nice to utilize crystals as well. Anyway, the phone rang, and a concerned person called, a lovely lady, and she was ringing on behalf of a friend. She is now my good friend. So she said, I'd like you to, if you don't mind, go down to the Costa del Sol hospital and go and see this lady. She's not in a good place. Can you help? And I'm like, yeah, sure, of course. So I went, I normally grab, like if I'm doing hospital work, if I'm doing home health work, I'll normally take I had a box. It was actually an old doctor's box, believe it or not. I think I've got it in there, still got it. So I put all my crystals in there, which I feel I want to use when I'm there. This occasion, I only brought one, and it was a Moldavite. It was a big Moldavite. Really big. It was about 67 grams. So I was working on that crystal at the same time for a very famous worldwide singer who had heard about Moldavite, and she wanted me to buy a piece, work on a piece for a few months, which I always used to do, and then she'd buy it from me. So I was midway on working on this big chunk of Moldavite, and I just grabbed that, few other bits and pieces, because when you're in hospital you can't kind of use a smoke or anything like that. So I just brought a few things, and anyway, so gets in the lift, gets to the floor, goes in, asks to speak to the nurse. There's the lady here called so-and-so. I'm not going to say her name. We're friends now, so she'll know what I'm talking about. So I go in and I see this lady, and to be fair, she looked quite broken. She looked, I guess the word, lost in soul, lost in mind, lost in spirit. And as soon as I walked in and looked at her, I had a big smile on my face, because I used to smile a lot then. Not so much these days. I wish I hadn't lost that, but it's kind of gone a little bit these days after these 4 years. And you all know what I'm talking about, the challenges and stuff. But I had a big smile on my face because I was a full-time healer, and you always have a smile on your face when you're healing people. And I was like, nothing deterred me. Like, I had no issues with entity attachments in hospitals, never affected at all, just like a lot of nurses and doctors are. It doesn't affect them at all. Didn't me. This lady wasn't in a good place. Now, understanding I don't know why, I don't need to know why, I just need to heal the person. So I just smiled and I said, oh, I've come to get you out of bed and home as soon as possible. Let's crack on with it. That's how I used to speak. So she was Spanish. She understood English very well. And so basically started the healing session. Took the Moldavite out and placed it right on her heart chakra. And as I placed it on the heart chakra, I also took my other hand and placed it on her head. And, oh, by the way, I shut all the curtains, right? I don't want people looking. Shut all the curtains. And then start the healing. Now, I had my phone, right? And I put my music on. So what you're listening to now wasn't this music. I had a first piece of music many years ago that I always used to use. But it was a nice, gentle, quiet piece of music. So after the healing session, after 1 hour, you might want to know what she went through. She closed her eyes and it looked like, right, a guy once said it, a German guy once said it, he said, it feels like you're being restructured from the inside. This is how it felt, what was happening to her. Something felt like she was being rebuilt from the inside. As you're healing, you sometimes can feel different emotion from your client, which is normally an out cry, which is normally the detox, the spiritual detox. So it's a coughing, which is purging and clearing out the heaviness, or hiccups, or laughter. That's also another one. Crying, lots of noise, lots of heavy breathing. With this lady, it felt like whatever was happening is she knew inside, and she was utilizing that energy to rebuild something that felt like it was broken. So after I gave her the healing session, she opened her eyes and she, you know, them kind of smiles that you give somebody, and it's kind of a smile that says, with all my heart, thank you. That's the kind of smile it was. And I was fairly used to that. So I held her hand and said, you know, I'm always here if you need me. I gave her a kiss and said, you'll be fine. And then for some reason, I left the Moldavite on her heart. And bear in mind, this is many, many years ago. This crystal is worth, I was selling it cheap to the lady, but it was worth minimum then $3,000 minimum. Money wasn't really the issue back then, but I left her that crystal, and for a little moment I thought, oh, it's $3,000, and then I said, oh, shut up, Mark. That's that brain kicking in. And then I went and left the crystal. Now, I didn't know whether I was coming back, but my consciousness did. So I went away and I'm thinking, she's, you know, like your mind always kicks in stupid things, right? And always what ifs and whys and all that. But my consciousness just told me to shut up, right? So I cracked on my work, went back. I had 3 or 4 sessions after this lady. I think I went to Belmadina, and then I came back to the to Tickle Pink upstairs where I worked, and then I had another client at the very end of the night. Then at the end of the night, Isabel called and she said, oh, my friend is doing a lot better. Would it be possible if you could go back tomorrow? And I just knew I was going back tomorrow. And I even knew it because in my diary, I had 9, 10, 11 available. And then 12 o'clock I start. And I'm like, yeah, would it be okay if I get there at between 9 and 10? And she said, this is perfect. So I went back. When I got into the hospital and walked down, this lady was sat up talking to the guy next to, it was a guy, it was an old man, and they were talking, and he smiled when I came in and she smiled. Now they were Spanish, so I didn't know what they were saying. I wasn't brilliant at Spanish, but they were both smiling. Anyway, so I started to do the cover around, and the guy said, would you leave the cover open? And I'm like, okay, if you want. So I left the cover open, and so obviously wanted to see what I was doing. I'd normally like it private, but they were talking and I felt that she was okay with that. I think she was very okay with that. So I says, oh, how are you doing? How are you doing? She says, oh, Mark, the Moldavite, and like she's holding it. I'm saying, good, keep it there, hold it there. So I do another hour's healing when I'd finished. This wasn't as profound. This was just like confirmation to her that everything's okay. So the real work was done the hour before, the day before. That was the real work. And then through the night, it was continuing healing. But when I came, it was like, okay, it doesn't feel the same. It's always different anyway, but it didn't feel the same. But this time I took the Moldavite halfway through and held it in my hand and placed my hand up on her head. And there was just a moment where I heard a crack. And normally, this is normal. If you're a healer, you'll know this. Sometimes you can hear cracks, right? And that is the physical body releasing, and sometimes it can crack. And I heard the crack, and she felt the crack because she said to me after, I felt a crack. Then I realized that she'd done something to herself. And it felt like whatever happened had released. So whatever the heaviness, what happened, which crunched her head, it had cracked open. So something cracked open the skull or something, but you'd literally heard a crack. So that were interesting. When I'd finished, I'm like, okay, this lady's okay now. she's doing fine. So we finished and she smiled. She was very different this time. She was more in control. There wasn't a smile of thank you. It was like, I'm in control now. I'm all right now. Everything's fine. And I was pleased because she's like, I don't feel bad that she's not herself and strong, but she is today. So she gave me the Moldavite, and I took the Moldavite back and I held it in my hand and sat with her. And she said, I'd like to just talk to you before you go. So the story goes that she'd been preparing about 6 weeks prior, over 2 years, to go to a place to do ayahuasca. She's very spiritual. She did the ayahuasca and she ended up in hospital. Now, I'm saying this not because if you've done ayahuasca or you're about to do it that you should worry. I'm just saying that some people, it can affect them. Just like anything that you take. You can eat peanuts and some people can be affected. Well, the spiritual aspect of that is also, there's loads of reasons why, but hey, when people say to me, ayahuasca is brilliant, I say, well, not for everybody. Why? Because I've been into hospital and I've helped lots of people who have been traumatized by it. So this lady had been in hospital for 2 weeks and she wasn't getting any better. After the healing session, the nurses says, oh, she's getting better now, which is great. Might not have been my healing. I don't care, but she was better. That's all that matters. But the wonderful thing was that she told me that through the night, she didn't let go of the Moldavite and she felt her body cracking, almost like the same pain as in her head, but the whole body. And she said that she held this crystal and she said she believes whatever, she wasn't into crystals like I was. She didn't know what she had hold of, but she was sure that every time she put the crystal down, went to the toilet, came back, picked the crystal up, she said she could feel something happening. And through the night, she said she'd had a release of lots of things that whatever happened to her has now gone. And that was something that I picked the Moldavite up and I smiled and I said, this is Moldavite. There's something very special about this crystal. I can't explain, but I'm still learning. And she smiled and I left. But up until this day, whenever I get Moldavite, I say, it's special. I don't really know why, but I'm still learning. And right at this moment, I have some crystals here that I'm going to show you, Moldavites. I love working with them because I don't know what I'm going to get. I don't know what's going to happen from moment to moment, whether I wear it, hold it, or sleep with it on my third eye, or meditate with it. There's always a surprise with Moldavite, always something new, and there's always something that I can get. What do I believe happened with the Moldavite and that lady? I think coupled with pure energy healing, coupled with a powerful crystal, whatever her experience was, whatever negativity she embraced, absorbed, whatever happened to her that sent her into a place of disrepair, lost. The Moldavite brought her back to herself. The healing session brought her back to herself. And the miracle of the change in 2 days was phenomenal. To this day, I know this lady, and I was very close to the head nurse of the Costa del Sol. In fact, she was the one who helped me through my broken shoulder. She did everything there for me. She was like my angel. So at the end of the day, right, Moldavite is still with her, right? It's still with her. So she wears it all the time. Now, if Moldavite was nonsense, if it didn't mean anything, do you think after, I don't know, 13 solid years, that every time I see her, she's always wearing Moldavite? Do you really believe that something that has no significance in somebody's life, that they just keep wearing that same crystal for, well, not as long as me, but for a decade and more? So it kind of is a really telling story of the power of Moldavite, for sure. So I hope you enjoyed that story. If you're not kind of interested in looking at my crystals, now's the time to say goodbye, because this is for those who love my Moldavites and want to see them. So here's a great opportunity. Let me just turn that on and I'll show you the first one. I'm actually wearing a very similar one right now. Hey, look. And if you turn them both, you can see that they've got this kind of beautiful shape. Look at that. That's just that curve, that hook. It's beautiful. Really lovely. So here's my first piece. Look at that. Oh my God. Isn't that gorgeous? So what you're looking at there is, I'd say, a AA grade. It's gorgeous, from Maliclum. As you can see, it just, the inclusions are fantastic. And it's been mounted. I actually quite like the mount. I think it's a nice, chunky mount. It's sterling silver, but dipped in rolled gold twice, 3 times, between 2 and 3 times. So it's thicker. It's got a thicker coating. And Moldavite ain't easy to mount, right? So it's, when you look at it, it's not, oh, it's perfect. You can see, like, if you look carefully, it has to be mounted in a way that it's tight. So I think that's a beautiful job. It's not like you're dealing with facets, you know, cut them perfect so you can mold them very easy with whatever, silver and gold. So this is a crystal with all shapes, and so it's hard sometimes to mount. So that's pretty good job, I would say. The signed MB collection, all of them, so you know that they're genuine Moldavites. And this particular piece is, including the solid silver roll gold, is 7.5 grams. Now, it's a beautiful piece. It's really beautiful. So that's my first piece. My second piece here, look at that. Not bad. It's a lovely way to mount it. It's balanced really lovely. These, my beautiful Balinese jewellery makers are very clever. First of all, they have to find the balance. They have to find where it balances. So there's a lot of work goes into it. This is called a cross T-bar. And I love the mounting. It doesn't take away from the Moldavite at all. And again, it's in sterling silver and dipped roll gold. Okay, so that one is 6.8 grams. Beautiful. Okay, next piece. You like it? Look. Okay, wow, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? Hey, look. Beautiful piece. Nice mounting. And what we got on that? We've got 6.9 grams. So that's the third piece. Here's the fourth piece. Really lovely. Gorgeous. See that? Lovely jubbly. Wow, look at the colours of that. That is beautiful. Gorgeous. And this gorgeous piece weighs a whopping 7.2 grams. And then the next gorgeous piece, this is lovely as well. Look at that. That's beautiful. Gorgeous. Look at the inclusions. Look at all the beautiful Moldavite cavices, gaps, and all what makes it so special and unique. That's gorgeous. That one is 7.2 grams. Here's the next beautiful piece. Ooh, lovely. Love the shape of that. Really beautiful. Isn't that gorgeous? Can wear it both ways. It does not matter. There you go. And that one weighs a whopping 8.3 grams. And now this beauty, look how different and unusual that is. Look at the coloration in there. Look, so many beautiful different shapes within the shape. It's like this is where the water has, over the thousands of years, just run through it and caused these beautiful cavices, and it's just gorgeous. Absolutely beautiful piece, that. And that one is 7.3, all beautiful big pieces. And finally, this is my final piece. That gorgeous as well. Lovely. Really beautiful. Wow. That's beautiful. And that one is 6 grams. So between 6 and 7.3 grams. Beautiful. Gorgeous pieces. All right, well, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this story, and I hope you enjoyed these, only small collection of Moldavite roll gold from Maliclum. They'll be on the website, and I'll put one link below. And if you are looking for a piece of Moldavite, then you know you'll come to a genuine dealer, which I am, of Moldavite over 2 decades, and you know that you've got the most beautiful pieces. Plus the fact every piece of Moldavite, I've worked with them over 20, 30 hours. So I also put pure energy healing into them. That's been my, I guess, signature mark of being a crystal seller and a healer over 2 decades. So I hope you appreciate and feel the energy from it. Have a beautiful day. Thank you so much. Take care.